You're listening to the 3 Pixels Tech, Gaming and Movie Podcast, brought to you by Alan Taylor, Martin Gregory, and me, Ben Ridley.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the 3 Pixels. Episode 18, I believe, is that right?
Yep.
Great, and I'd like to welcome my 2 co-hosts, Martin Gregory.
Hello, well, I'm glad to be back.
Glad to have you back.
I feel like one day you're going to replace me. That's all I am. That's all. One day I'm going to listen to our podcast back, and it's going to be someone completely different.
Oh, replace you from episodes you think you've been in as well?
Yeah, definitely.
We'll just get Joe in. Okay, can you re-record Martin's lines, please?
You prefer Joe? I thought James would be a better fit to replace Martin.
Oh, you know what? I think Joe does the voice better. He does Martin's impression better.
I just don't like his humour.
Yeah, you're right. His humour's the same as Martin's, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm here too, by the way, just in case you forgot.
Who's that?
Oh, I don't know.
State yourself.
I'm Joe Blogs.
Joe Blogs, thank you for coming in.
You're
Ben
welcome.
Ridley, a.k.a. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you very much. The weather is lovely.
Oh, God. Anyway, I don't care about the weather. Shall we talk about cinema?
We should.
I hope we shall.
You ready, Martin?
Always.
Let's do it.
Do.
So as you may know, there have been a lot of re-releases coming out recently. The major one obviously being 2001: A Space Odyssey, which has done superbly well, and rightly so. But I think the biggest surprise for me out of all these re-releases has been Yellow Submarine, which I know, Martin, you've not seen, and actively do not want to see.
Yeah, I just saw the trailer literally before.
So let me spend 10 minutes trying to convince you otherwise. Ben, you've seen it.
A very long time ago.
Yeah, so I was the same. The last time I saw it, it was on an old, worn-out VHS that my dad had borrowed from like one of his work friends or something, and I didn't like it. I don't think this movie's for kids.
No,
necessarily.
What I saw, it's not for anyone really.
But no, like the art style is very upsetting, which is what you've seen, Martin. And the story I just found was nonsense. The story is still nonsense.
Oh, 100%.
It's some Lewis Carroll craziness. We start out in Pepperland.
Is that from the song? I know very little about the Beatles as well.
Are you not a Beatles fan?
Not really. I know.
You're right, Ben. We should replace him.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, what is he doing here?
I mean, no, Martin, you watched the movie with the Beatles on the...
Was it Across the Universe?
Yeah, Across the Universe.
I enjoyed that. I'm glad actually. That was like top draw remembrance then, that was.
I like that movie with covers of the Beatles in it.
I'm very uncultured, it seems, in the music world. And in many other subjects, I'm afraid.
Everything but video games.
Even that.
That's why we've got you on here for video games.
You could probably make a good side statement on that as well.
So we start out in Pepperland, which is this Edenic, paradise full of colourful 60s hippie embracing... I can see your face turning already. Music-loving, Edwardian dressed citizens, right? Unfortunately, they live right next door to the Blue Meanies, who are led by this genuinely upsetting psychopath character who really wants the music to die and, by extension, all the 60s hippie mentality, right? So they attack...
Right.
Basically everything the Beatles stood for.
Yes,
so they attack Pepperland, they stop the music, they turn the people to stone. Interestingly, like some of the gang of the Blue Meanies, like some of them are these Apple bombers, Apple being the record label for the Beatles. So this movie is even saying that the record label is killing music.
Well, do you know where I'm at right now?
Go on.
I feel like, because I know that they were quite anti-government at times, and they were anti-war, the Beatles.
The hippies?
Yeah. Yes. And what I'm getting here, that the Blue Meanies represent, I guess, the government, and the anti-authority.
I think they are meant to be very all-encompassing of the anti-hippie movement. And only Captain Fred escapes in the Yellow Submarine.
Okay. I'm with you so far.
Off to Liverpool he goes.
Natural choice.
Where he recruits the Beatles, which interestingly, the Beatles are never actually, the band is never named. We get John, Paul, George and Ringo, but they're never called the Beatles. They embark to save Pepperland through a series of psychedelic, abstract, either nonsensical or really deep vignettes that each in their own almost play as an extended sequence around one of their songs. Okay, now the songs in this movie, I'll tell you about the songs after the clip.
Join the greatest band in history, The Beatles.
Hello?
In their greatest trip ever.
We all live in a yellow submarine.
Yellow Submarine is back as you've never seen or heard it before.
You could pass for the originals.
We are the originals.
With Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
The Beatles animated classic is surfacing again. Don't miss the Beatles boat. All aboard for Pepperland. It's the trip of your life.
We all live in a yellow submarine.
The Beatles, Yellow Submarine.
So as I was saying, the songs in this movie are very hit and miss. Obviously, Yellow Submarine is not one of my favorites. And they've got songs in there like The Northern Song and All Together Now, which were just scraps from old albums that didn't make it in. On the other hand, we've got Eleanor Rigby, which was one of my favorites.
Very
We've
good song.
got Nowhere Man and Hey Bulldog. Nowhere Man in particular goes really well with the art style in that. For me, it's always been like a really meaningful song. And it just plays against this really silly character that they created. The art style, I think, really does shine through. As dark and off-putting that it does seem on first glance, I think it was just really impressive because, one, there was never anything like it. This whole movie is a blend of so many different art styles. We've got, the cutout Monty Python style. We've got rotoscoped paintings. We've got classic, Disney style animation. We've got so much going on, and they all complement the songs that they do, and it really adds to this psychedelic nature. I mean, we've even got live footage playing against the background of animation and stuff, which
That's
in
incredible.
1968.
That's pretty incredible. To be
Pretty
honest.
incredible. Not least because Heinz Elderman, who was the art director, had a team of not a lot of people stuck in Soho Square for less than £1 million. I think they did a fantastic job, and it's really strangely charming once you sit through it and you buy into it, you get involved in it, and now that it's been restored as well into 4K, I don't know, I found it a joy to watch this madness happening. And the strangely charming thing plays into the whole tone of the movie as well. The humor is very Beatles. I know, Martin, you said you haven't seen the other Beatles movies. If you've ever seen any interviews with them, they do have their own brand of cheeky,
definitely.
childish, very charming. And the script was helped by Roger McCow, a Liverpudlian poet. And you can tell the dialogue is fantastically cheesy. Yeah. It is great. And, it is funny. I was laughing through it.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Not in the slightest. If you get a chance, you should go see it. Don't judge it on the trailer alone, because if nothing else, we're never going to get anything like this again.
No.
I hope not.
But no, seriously, this movie was made by accident. The Beatles, after their second movie, did not want to go near another movie again, but they'd signed a 3-picture contract. So their way out of it was to have an animated movie that they would not have to be involved with. They didn't voice it. There's a fun little segment at the end where they are on video. But for most of it, they didn't want to get involved. Eventually, they read the script, they saw how it was coming along, and then they got into it. But this movie shouldn't really have happened. And if anyone had had their way back then, it wouldn't have happened. So this under-budgeted, psychedelic, drug-infused kids movie, I think is one of a kind, and I do really think you should go see it.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely a movie that wouldn't get made today, or a movie you'd see today come out. So it's kind of a good way to look at something completely different, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. That is even a miracle that happened in the first place, and just sit back and just enjoy the madness, the wonderful, wonderful madness.
I take it I've not won you over.
I'm afraid not. I'm not one for acid trip movies or even cartoons, which are definitely, if you look now, especially like the stuff on Cartoon Network, there's a lot of like soft acid trip cartoons coming out, especially for like the teens, and some of them I enjoy, but I just can't put my head around it too much. And then I think the trailer, maybe I shouldn't have saw the trailer. Maybe that's my biggest problem. I just looked at it and went, what is happening? Like, I just thought, what the hell is this?
I think the trick is just to let it happen to you.
Let it be.
Just let it be.
Let it be.
Let it just let it do its thing to you.
Yeah. Just sit there, open up, embrace the whole love and peace. And
You sound like Paul now.
it's been out for 50 years. I'm sure you can check it out on DVD.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm still not convinced, I'm afraid. Don't know. Like I said, I'm not the most huge fan of the Beatles. I'm not saying they're not good or anything. I'm not saying that at all. Like, far from it. They are the most iconic and influential band of all time. They'll ever top the Beatles. But I just can't. I don't think I could bring myself round to watching it. Really,
I think the Beatles in this movie are definitely the tone and just the hook to get you in. But once you're in, it's the art. It's just sitting there and, not to sound pretentious, but you are watching art and a few good songs and a few not so great songs. It all works so well as a cohesive piece, and also it's so fragmented that it's such a wonder that it works so well. Try it out.
this is what I was saying in the 60s. Just try it.
Just try it. Just here, Martin. Here, try some of this.
No. So you say that the Beatles didn't want anything to part with this, right? Mm-hmm. But halfway through, they did. Did they switch out the voice actors halfway through? Or?
No. So they don't voice it. They, for all intents and purposes, they didn't really have anything to do with it apart from the songs of theirs. Until right at the end, there's a little video clip because they saw how it came together and then they were fine being involved. They had such a bad time on Help that they did not want anything to do with this. They were in India while this was being made. So basically everyone apart from Martin, I implore you go see this movie. If nothing else, apart from, it's just a joy. It really was. And I had the privilege of actually going to a sing-along version. So
Wonderful. That sounds awesome. I wish I was there.
I don't know if you're being
Genuinely.
sarcastic, but
No,
I did
genuinely
really
do.
enjoy it.
I genuinely do wish I was there.
So let me know what you think of Yellow Submarine. Are you with Martin? Is it just too much for you? Or did you really love it? Let us know at Twitter.
At 3pixelspod.
Thank you. Or by email.
Hello at the3pixels.com.
Or search us on Facebook. Thank you very much, guys.
See you later.
Thank you very much.
And remember, don't do drugs, kids.
Unless you're going to see Yellow Submarine.
No, not at all.
No, we do not
It
endorse.
enhances the experience.
No, it does not. Stop lying to yourself.
You've been listening to the 3 Pixels podcast, a production by Alan Taylor, music provided by Epidemic Sound, and exec produced by Abrupt Audio. With that, thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. Good night.
I miss the 60s.
Do, da, da. That's my...
That's the most famous Beatles song.
Yeah.